Challenges surfacing for the Department of Homeland Security, which is partially shut down right now because of a fight over ICE reforms. Well, now there are new claims about Strange and Secretary Kristi Noem's relationship with the U.S. Coast Guard. The Coast Guard is overseen by DHS.
Two U.S. officials, including a past and a present Coast Guard officials, tell NBC News that Noem's leadership this past year has created a split between some rank-and-file members who have been motivated by her approach and other senior officials who view it as undercutting their more traditional mission.
NBC News senior national politics reporter Jonathan Allen has been part of the team reporting on this story. John, good to have you with us this morning. So we know DHS has spearheaded President Trump's mass deportation mandate. What decisions did DHS Secretary Noem make to sort of rattle some of these leaders in the U.S. Coast Guard?
Joe, several decisions, and let me start with this. The Coast Guard, the Department of Homeland Security, the Coast Guard referred all questions to DHS. DHS has denied some of these things that we're reporting, so I just want to put that out there. But basically what you've seen is a shift in prioritization from the Coast Guard's mission, search and rescue, things like that, training, et cetera. You've seen a shift away from those things and toward the deportation effort. So the Coast Guard has been heavily involved in that. A couple of small items here. One was an actual deprioritization message that went out to one air station in Sacramento, basically saying that immigration is the top priority and now search and rescue is much lower of a priority. Narcotics trafficking or anti-narcotics trafficking a much higher priority. And then the biggest thing that really rankled Coast Guard folks early in Noem's administration was back last year, there was a missing Coast Guardsman. Somebody had gone overboard. The Coast Guard diverted some of its planes to go use in that search and rescue mission. Our sources told us that Secretary Noem then said that one of those planes, a C-130, had to return to go back to flying migrants around. It left for about an hour. Then some other planes were found and brought back. But the whole issue there was that there was a perception among folks in the Coast Guard that the Secretary was not prioritizing or putting enough emphasis on finding this person who was overboard.
How, John, is the rift between Noem and some of those senior U.S. Coast Guard officials playing out in real time, day-to-day operations? And how has the Department of Homeland Security responded to your reporting, including that morale is, quote, terrible at Coast Guard headquarters?
So, Christine, it's playing out across a number of issues. I mean, we reported on a confrontation between Corey Lewandowski, who is effectively the chief of staff at Homeland Security, and very close to Secretary Noem, with a Coast Guard pilot where the Coast Guard had failed to bring some personal items of Secretary Noem's from one plane to another. When she was switching planes, and Lewandowski tried to fire the pilot midair because he wouldn't turn around to go get those items. The pilot informed Lewandowski that if he did that, they would have to land at the nearest airport, and that the Secretary would have to wait a long time for another pilot. So that was resolved temporarily. But in terms of morale, our sources say that it's really low, a split. There are some people, again, who love what Secretary Noem is doing, some people who do not. The Coast Guard's response to this is one of calling it subjective.
Looking forward.
To be fair, it is a subjective view of these Coast Guard folks who think that morale is low. It's hard to measure morale exactly.
Right, exactly. I mean, and looking forward, is there a fear these tensions could continue as Noem continues to focus on these deportation efforts?
Absolutely. There's a fear that it is going to get worse as deportation efforts ramp up. The president has, at times said that he wants to deport millions or tens of millions of people out of the United States. The Coast Guard has become heavily involved in that. They've been involved in the effort to get people to self-deport. There's millions and millions of dollars floating around the Coast Guard for these purposes. And so you can only expect that that's going to, where that's a tension point, it's going to ramp up. Some of the folks in the Coast Guard didn't really sign up for that. And more to the point, they really feel like some of the things that are the core mission are getting short shrift.
All right. Jonathan, good reporting. Thanks for joining us this morning. Appreciate it.
We thank you for watching. And remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.